Mason and Remy podcast. Mason and Remy podcast. Both of the dudes, none of the songs. Just two guys talking way too long. This is our podcast. Hi, Remy.
Hey, what's up?
Nothing. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. I want to first apologize for the meetings that are happening next door.
No meetings happen in that office until today.
You are going to hear the sounds of the office if you're listening on the podcast. You are going to hear the sounds of the people next door. We are next to the person who runs a classic rock radio station, and it sounds like from the last few minutes that they are picking out selections to play of live, like a live something. I don't know.
There was some Elton John in there.
There was some live stuff happening, and
I think that Elton John guy has something going.
There's something there. They might be onto something with him, I think. He's doing his farewell tour, you know that?
Yeah.
Goodbye!
But how many farewell tours will there be? I mean, because, Garth Brooks apparently was supposed to have his last farewell tour, and now he's going back on tour.
Remy said it. Just
He's
making sure
be
we're
back in St. Louis. What did I say?
Those
might not be.
I think shots fired.
That wasn't shots fired. It's just like it's the Michael Jordan, like Brett Favre effect. Like you don't want to retire because that's all you know.
Gotcha.
And I don't blame him. I feel like that's a good thing.
Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here. What's up to Jim, who just popped by? We're also live on Facebook, the Mason and Remy Facebook page. We do this every Friday at noon, where you can see a completely ghostly-looking Mason and a regular-looking Remy.
Yeah, we need to work on your camera. You're not actually that white.
I hate these lights.
Well, because we're going to Mexico next week, maybe next week's podcast you will be more tan. Maybe
I am looking at it right now. I'm literally as white as the Cardinals jersey next to me. Do you see it?
Yeah, it's like automatically adjusting to you,
but it's not.
But it's not doing the right. It's not giving you the proper focus.
How is it so bright? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, maybe if we win the Mega Millions $1 billion jackpot.
Tell me more topical and timely content.
We could have potentially the new cameras that we would be able to manually adjust.
No, we wouldn't. We wouldn't.
That's the bit. I think that's, and I don't know if you wanted to start in a particular place, but I feel like the $1 billion Mega Millions is like all anybody's talking about at this point.
You are the only person in my life talking about it.
Well, I mean, who?
I just want you to know that.
Okay. There's everybody.
I'm not against it.
Everybody in my life is talking about it. All the listeners are talking about it. We've had lots of calls about it. It's a huge amount of money. There are people playing the lottery that don't normally play the lottery. I was at the Red Roof gas station in Columbia, where I go to fill up before I come to the station and get Red Bull or whatever. And there was like 10 people deep in line for Mega Millions tickets. And that never happens, I feel like.
I'm going to go into a thing now that's only suitable for a podcast.
Okay.
What a scam the lottery is.
Well, I mean, they will pay you. So
they'll pay one person
out
of...
Not necessarily a scam.
I think it's giving people false hope and going, oh, you could win, when really chances are you won't.
Oh, sure.
There will be one person who will look like an amazing person with $1 billion.
Yeah.
And their life will completely crumble and change because everyone in their life will change. It's a bad thing, man. Like, I just want an everyday, like, I want to go into the coal mine and mine some radio and then go home and hug my wife and just I don't want to win $1 billion.
You can still do that.
I don't want to win it's going to mess everything up.
There is I had talked about this a couple of years ago. I used to do a Monday morning pep talk on the show. And part of it was to go out and buy a Powerball or Mega Millions ticket just to feel what it feels like to visualize what you could have or what you might want, because that exercise in and of itself is good because you're not focusing on negative things. You're focusing on positive things. Right? You know the chances are not in your favor that you're going to win.
So I'm going to go home and do something that makes me smile instead and not spend $20.
Sure, but I'm just saying you could spend $2 and still get that same feeling, because I think every one of us who buys a ticket is like, what if? What if that happened.
I have those thoughts too. The what ifs. I just save my money and keep the thoughts.
You've played the lottery before. You
only
cannot,
because
you
only
can't go
because
back on that.
seriously, only because you've brought it up. When have you known me to go, I got my ticket that you haven't brought up? I don't do this.
I'm sorry.
No, you're okay.
I
just talk to me about it. It's not just talk to me about it. I just want you to know that not everybody is of the same mindset. I think the lottery is a scam. And I'm sorry that we'll never get a lottery endorsement for this podcast. But I think that millions of Americans are throwing their hard-earned money at stuff. And this is great that it goes to schools. Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah. I love that. So keep helping the schools. That's great. Don't get me wrong. Or you could just help the schools and feel rewarded for it.
Sure.
But if you need the monetary value of possibly winning $1 billion, that's fine too. That's what you need to do to give money to the schools. Who am I to?
Jim agrees with you. He says nothing wrong with that, Mason.
Thanks, Jim. I saw Kathy say some stuff too here. Sad you guys left Chicago. She moved to Minnesota, but yeah, it wasn't. Well, she could listen anywhere. That's why we got this now. You know what I'm saying? We can pop on anywhere. Again, we're live on Facebook, and if you're listening to this after the fact, you can always be a part of that every Friday at noon. I know the Friday Party Jam's coming up at the end of the podcast.
Oh yeah, a little sneak peek.
We include that now every week on the Friday podcast, but it's starting to get colder now around here.
Yeah, it's
significant. It's going to be 32 tonight. That's freezing for you science nerds.
It's nice because my grass has finally stopped growing at a rapid rate. I feel like I mowed it about a week ago, and within 3 days, it's already needing to be mowed again. But finally, I feel like the grass is slowing down. It's like, I'm going to go into winter hibernation now. You don't have to mow me every week. So that's nice.
Your lawn sounds weird. It's got a weird voice. But I haven't mowed a lawn since I left Naperville, man. And it, to be honest, feels good.
We switched spots.
Yeah.
Because we always do the opposite of each other.
Yep. That's the yin and the yang of the everything that we do. 90% of our show, right? Let's see. James, no. Kevin said, if I won the Powerball, you guys, we're having a trip to Vegas. I mean, can't turn that down, right?
No. You could pretty much, you could go in on a hotel venture if you really wanted to with $1 billion.
Yeah. It might actually be enough. And you could gamble on the side.
You could at least get a piece of something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Own half of something.
Hey, it's getting colder, and we're heading out to Mexico next week. Remy mentioned the vacation already once. It's a hot 2 days, right? We leave Sunday. We'll get there Sunday night. Monday, Tuesday, we do the show live from Riviera Maya.
Yep.
And then Wednesday, we'll head back, and then we'll do the show back here in the studio Thursday, Friday, right?
Yeah. So a lot of times they do these promotional trips just to kind of send a message. In this case, I think Mexico's received a lot of, there's been some bad publicity that's happened with Mexico. Huh. And so they're essentially wanting to show you that Mexico is okay to visit, and it is okay to visit, and we know that, otherwise we wouldn't be taking our spouses there. But it's just a short jaunt. Hopefully next year we'll be going on a come along, like a big, proper week-long Mexico trip that we can relax on and not necessarily have to do the show every day.
Yeah, something we've been talking about trying to set up, and I mean, we've got friends that run travel business. We've got people. I put this on because I'm sorry, I'm wearing a hat now. If you're just listening to the podcast,
it's a flat bill,
but it's a black hat, and it makes it so that you can actually see my face on the video. So I'm gonna take one for the team and wear a flat brimmed hat for a little bit.
There you go.
So it's Mitchell Tenpenny, and I think we're okay with the Tenpenny. Where was I? We're going to Mexico. We want to set up this trip in the future where we can kind of get a whole plane full of our family. You know what I mean? The listeners, the folks that are watching this, that we know. We can get, I think this one was less than $1,000 for a few days to go to Mexico, all inclusive.
It's like $450 or something.
Yeah, it was real cheap. But I mean, for two, yeah, like it was a real kind of inexpensive trip, but we want to do a longer one. We want to get an artist to go along with us. We want to get, like I said, everybody, all of our friends, family, not necessarily like our actual family, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? So that makes sense. But we want to get it. But next year, it's just getting started. I was just doing the math today through July, August, September. This is now our 4th month back in St. Louis, and we're finally like settling in. Remy's hanging up Heisenberg posters.
Yeah, check it out.
I was. We'll get back to the vacation, but we finally got a little bit of stuff set up in the office here. What do you got? Like 3.
This is a really cool. So when Breaking Bad ended and the series ended, they released some limited edition art, and so this artist put these together, and it's kind of the progression of Walter White through the sequence of the show. So he starts as, you know, a chemistry teacher who's got cancer and he needs to fund it, and then he starts selling really high-end methamphetamines, and then he becomes a drug lord essentially in the end. And it's just kind of the progression of it. I don't know. I really like the writing of the show.
I'm going to go ahead and point out that he is frowning while he is a teacher rewarding the youth. He was giving back to the youth, and now that he's a drug lord,
he's very unhappy.
He's like smiling at the end. I'm
Did you
not
notice
saying
the cigarette here?
that conveys a bad message. I did not notice the cigarette.
Number of shots fired in the final, and the cigarette, the poison cigarette. Yeah, there's some, and the fly. The fly is here too.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah,
Spoiler alert stuff now.
And these are 722 out of 1100.
Oh, so they're a limited like. Print.
So there'll be more stuff, and the A-list award that we got is back here on the window. You can't see that, but that was from 2012.
You could bring it if you wanted to grab it and bring it to the camera. You could show it if you wanted to. I mean, not that we need to like show off the fact that we won.
Look, Mom, look what we did.
What does that say? St. Louis A-list for.
Yeah, this is the other station we were on.
No, but it says like. Did you say best morning show? Say what it's for.
Reader's pick for radio morning show, Mason and Remy.
That's us.
Yeah.
We did a thing once.
Yeah. So I like that. So I brought it in.
Yeah.
And then I've got some other pictures. I've got a really cool like Mumford & Sons quote that I framed, and a couple other things that I'm going to bring in. But I like that each of our corners represents kind of who we are and our interests and stuff. I got to bring in would be cool to get a nano reef tank in the office. Do you think they'd let me do that?
I do think they would. Did you see what they let us do already?
I don't know how I would maintain it over the weekend.
Oh, I don't know either. No, I don't know.
What do you got over in your corner?
That's
really cool. I remember when that happened.
We had Ozzie Smith in the studio for an event that I think we were a part of as well, and he came in to talk about. And of course, I brought in my 30th anniversary 1982 World Series champions jersey, and Ozzie signed it. It says Ozzie Smith, the Wizard, Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
On O2. So I brought that in and that's been sitting behind me at home on my Twitch live stream. So when I play a video game, you'll see that behind me. And everyone that listened in Chicago is like, what is that? So I brought it in here to get even more exposure for it. Back on the shelf here, a picture of the wife and I.
Oh yeah, I should probably have one of those.
And Keaton as well. This is my favorite. She just gave me this for our anniversary, so that's why I have this.
It's very nice.
She put the picture of me and Keaton and her. Can you see Keaton in the middle there, popping out in between us?
I remember that moment too. It was a good moment. Good times.
Right after this moment, the Imperial Death March from Star Wars. Or no, it wasn't. It was.
It was the opening. It wasn't the opening credits.
It was the Star Wars theme song. It wasn't the Imperial
Death March.
No, it wasn't. It was not the Death March. Apologies on that. Hey, Tanya. Tanya's asking about her punishment or your punishment. Remember, we had that on the air yesterday.
Oh, gotcha.
We'll talk about it. We got Death Star. That is a Bluetooth speaker. If you could see that.
High quality speaker in there, I'm sure.
And
Dude, you gotta watch out. That thing's gonna explode.
I unplugged it. This has been in like Keaton's room for probably a couple of years, and it does okay for a little speaker. Also, it lights up.
It's very cool.
This is Vault Boy.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
It's okay. This is a shot glass that was given to us by a listener. Remember, Becky gave us this.
Oh, nice.
She brought this in, and it's got a little Lego guy in here. He's a Lego DJ.
Wiki.
He's wearing little headphones. And he's got a little record. My wife.
That's exactly what we do on a daily basis.
My wife and Keaton gave it to me. I got a Mike Shannon bobblehead that when you press it down, it goes, Snooks! And then Tony La Russa. And a Rams, Robert Quinn, bobble body.
Oh, I miss the Rams.
You remember the Rams?
Well, it stinks because they're good now. They're like
the best
undefeated.
team. Undefeated.
And
funny how that works out, huh?
I
would like to
it
say
was rigged or anything.
St. Louis was great for them to get some draft picks, right? And then they go off into the sunset.
Sure, yeah.
Collect their whatever trophy. I don't even watch football anymore. I'm proud to say I have unburdened myself from the chains of football for 2 years now. I haven't watched a single game this year. Is that weird? Is that weird?
No.
I feel
well,
great
there's no
about
team
that.
here. There's no team, so there's like no reason. Like,
Bro, like we
throw the Blues on, you throw the Cardinals on.
I grew up in
Rams
Michigan.
they're not here anymore.
I grew up in Michigan. I spent the last 3 years working in Chicago. I don't like football. Excuse me. Everything I learned about football, I learned from playing Madden football. I am a nerd, a big nerd. And when they wanted me to play, I was like, I don't want to get hurt. Bottom line. No one would teach me the rules. I didn't want to feel like I was an idiot because I'd get bullied if I was in high school going, oh, what's the first down? You know what I mean? So it's not exactly the best culture feeling for me.
Word.
I think there's some toxic masculinity stuff happening there. And then I don't even have to get into the politics of it, what Papa John is saying or who's kneeling. I don't know what's going on. I'm so happy to not be a part of it. Like, that's all I think about now is going through these things and going, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to get involved in that. I don't form an opinion on things now because I don't know. I don't care. It's not a part of my life. And I think that if you want to live a happy life, you have to do that. Now, Remy, on the other hand, is playing fantasy football.
I'm in. I'm totally bought. No,
But you were even saying...
I was before the season started. I said I'm going to release myself of the chains of football, as you said, and not play fantasy this year because I feel like fantasy it hooks you into games where what's at stake here? What are we playing for? $300 at the end of the season or something like that?
And I never even played where there's
How does
gambling.
it matter? You can't like. Cooper Kupp got injured last week. He's out this week, so I have no receivers. I don't know what that means. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where
you know exactly what that means.
It's an addiction. It's a weird addiction. But I will say that this year I have not watched as much football as I would have in the past.
Yeah, life's crazy. You got two toddlers.
So, yeah, that and just Sundays. I mean, I let them watch whatever they want to watch. I'm not going to force it upon them. If I really want to see a game, I can just pop it on my phone or whatever for a little bit. So I'm not like super into it. Yeah. I can always check my fantasy scores. Those update as they score points or don't score points. But yeah.
I just, I had that. I remember having that feeling like come Thursday going, oh, I have to go through all this stuff. And it wasn't enjoyable. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't something I wanted. After a while, I found myself just doing it because I wanted to be a part of something. Yeah. And I was like, this isn't a thing I want to be a part of anymore. Yeah. I don't, A, know enough about it to talk knowledgeably about it. B, I'm not good enough at it to make any, but why am I wasting my time doing it? Like, and so, and Alicia doesn't care. Keaton's not into it. You know?
I saw somebody post this on Facebook, and normally on Facebook it's negative, but this was, let go of things that don't serve you.
Exactly.
And I thought that was kind of like and that's exactly what you're doing. Is,
I don't have the fancy words for what I'm doing, but I'm totally doing the right thing. But you're right. Let go of the things that don't serve you. My wife has said that. That's why I married her, because she's smart. But you're right.
Yeah. So if there's something that doesn't make you happy or stresses you out, then why are you still doing it? You know
Thank
what I mean?
you.
So, other than the thing that like makes you money on a daily basis.
That's
like that's a different kind of stress.
Yeah.
Though. It's a different kind of.
You choose to do that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But if it doesn't, make time for the things that do. Mm-hmm. That's what's important. You know. For sure. I love spending a weekend with Alicia and Keaton because I know that Keaton and I are going to talk about video games on our podcast, or maybe even play. We're going to hang out, have that time together, and Alicia and I are going to get to go to dinner, and we're going to have that time together. Maybe even talk about it on a podcast. So it's like everything that I'm doing is I want it to be things that I love. Starting this Dungeons and Dragons podcast is the cross of two of the coolest things I feel like, because I'm a huge audio nerd. Obviously, like I took pride in like setting this thing up. Like, let's get mics, let's get desks, let's get a whole corner, let's get cameras. I know how to do this live streaming thing. You know what I mean? That's like my project. And then when these guys are like, let's game and do it, and I'm like, yeah. I'm all about that. Yeah. The Dungeons and Dragons podcast coming soon, hopefully. But it's just getting started, and there's talk like among them of going like, maybe we shouldn't put it out for a while. So I don't want to like start the hype train or anything.
Well, it's always good to have some in the bag beforehand because you never know people's schedules, and that's
the hardest part.
That's where I'm at right now with the Fearlessly Create podcast. I'm trying to get it going again, but when I first started, I had 6 in the bag before I even started putting them out.
Right.
It's always a good practice to have because consistency is like the biggest thing. That's why, every Friday at noon, we want to be here for you to watch this, and eventually we'll have more than 6 people watching.
And I'm not, this is a thing that's also going to live after this live stream.
Oh, yeah.
So Remy, this is the difference in both of us. Remy's looking at that 6 number, and I don't care who's watching this.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. But I don't care if nobody says it, or nobody sees it. I said what I wanted to say. I'm doing what I want. But all I can do is put it out in the world and hope that it lands. And then I'm thinking pizza for lunch. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't want to get too complicated on it and make it like something that's not enjoyable.
Sure.
That doesn't serve you. So we get back here to St. Louis after a few months, and they go, hey, you guys want to go to Mexico for a few days? Absolutely. So we're doing this weekend just to bring it back to what we were talking about a little bit ago.
Yeah.
And how we're consecutively different. Remy wants to do a billion things in these 2 days, and I just want to sit and do nothing.
Yeah.
So Remy said, how can we fit so much fun into this? And I went, we are so different. Like, I want nothing. It's all, to me, those things are all stressful moments that I have to get to on time. And I have a hard time relaxing. You know what I mean? My anxiety, I think, or something. But you book them. You love it.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Well, it's just I feel like life is nothing more than the experiences that you have in it. You know what I mean? So it's going and seeing this amazing planet that we live on while everything is still like it is.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like coral stuff. So it's like, I want to go snorkeling. My wife had an awful time snorkeling when we were in Riviera Maya last time on our honeymoon.
But this is a great story.
It's a great story. Should I tell it?
I mean, feel free.
Did we tell it last time? I don't know.
I don't think so. I think we talked about it in a meeting after that. We did talk about it on the air a little bit.
Yeah. So we had excursions planned on our honeymoon, and we ended up, one of them was snorkeling. So we took a boat out, you go through the lagoon, you go out to the reef. And once we got there, Lauren got in the water, her life vest didn't fit correctly. So it was like really rubbing like hard right underneath her arm. So she started like getting some chafing marks there. And I think she might've even bled. The water was pretty choppy that day. It wasn't the best day to be out. And so she was getting water in her tube, and it's a lot to navigate if it's your first time snorkeling. And also because it's in a very shallow part of the reef, most of the reef is in a shallow area. If you go vertical in the water and you kind of tip down, your feet can drag on coral that's down there, and that coral is going to try and protect itself. So a lot of it stings.
And so something I didn't know, something a layperson didn't know, that stuff's alive. And it's trying to protect itself.
Exactly.
And it stings. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
I had no idea. When I went to Hawaii, I fell in the water, and I don't think I got stung. It was just real jagged, like dead, I think you said?
Oh, yeah.
Dead
rock or dead corals. They're
like
very sharp. Yeah. Because it's all just, it's really, really thin calcium, essentially. Just calcium that's formed into these corals, and then there's like a skin that goes over the calcium deposit. So when the skin is gone, it's a bush of like, I would think
jagged
of it
rocks,
like eggshell, like stepping on like eggshells that are all like
Yeah.
I pointed up.
I was paddleboarding for 5 minutes. I fell in and sliced up the bottom of my foot for our week-long trip in Hawaii. So I limped around the whole time. But when it's alive, it stings, and I didn't know that. So your wife fell in, and she got all messed up.
Yeah, she just got overwhelmed, and she went vertical just because that's how you orient yourself in the water. I mean, every pool you've ever been in, you've been upright, not like horizontal. So.
But they tell you, like, don't do that. Like, lay down, lay flat.
Lay flat.
So you don't do that.
You're shallow.
But your immediate instinct is to go like,
exactly.
Kick my feet because I'm in the water, and this is how I save my life.
Exactly. So right here on her foot, this part of her foot, she got stamped basically with the sting of a coral. So you could see the outline of the coral. I think it was either a brain coral or fire coral or whatever. But she's like, I think I just got stung. My foot really, really hurts. And she like lifted up her foot in the water, and I was like, okay, we're going back to the boat. So we went back to the boat. and the Mexican tour guide started like helping, and I guess they have some sort of what looked to be like a baking soda solution, which I feel like is what you would do for a bee sting here.
Or something. Yeah. They have some remedy. Yeah.
Some sort of paste that they're putting on her foot, and she goes, go back out, enjoy this. You can, whatever. And she's doing that whole like, stay here but go kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's subliminally like, the female thing where it's very much like, read my mind, stay here, but I'm telling you to go. So I actually went and left her on the boat alone. And I didn't realize until probably about a year later that was probably the wrong choice to make. But I was in the heat of the moment. I knew this was like a once in a lifetime opportunity, or at least that's what it felt like at the time. And here we are going back to Mexico. But I hope to go snorkeling. Mason and Alicia had a bad time getting to snorkeling last time, so they probably won't be going. So I might be going alone.
Hey, we didn't even get to it. We had a seasickness incident on the like submarine boat to go look at stuff, and that's like on the way to it, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Like you're on your way.
You don't have to do that. Was new for me. You don't have to do that. They called it a jungle adventure, so it was like two things in one, where they do the glass bottom boat,
right,
and then the snorkeling.
Yeah.
But that glass bottom boat almost got me too.
Yeah. Well, and it was choppy, like you said, choppy water. And so it was moving around a lot, and Alicia didn't feel well. And then we got to the area where you're supposed to snorkel, and she's like, no. And, were you guys on that trip with us? Were you guys in that?
I was there. It was just me though.
Just you?
Okay.
Okay.
It was just me.
Yeah. 'Cause Lauren wasn't going. Not after what happened last time.
She was like, I'll be by the pool. Thanks. See ya.
Not doing that again. Not doing that again.
Yeah, but I want to see how much adventure we can cram into this, because I just feel like it's such a short time. But we also have to do the show on Monday and Tuesday, so it's probably not going to be too eventful. I'm hoping that if I just say snorkeling, then maybe that will just be the one thing that happens. And otherwise it'll just be like us in the ocean, man. The ocean is majestic to me.
I know we've talked about your wife's MS. Is she able to get in the ocean?
Probably not.
No?
Yeah. So Lauren was diagnosed with MS in 2014, 15, something like that. And she had a weird exacerbation where like she has hot cold sensitivity on one side of her body. So if the water isn't like warm, like shower, bath water warm, she feels pain on that side. So I think the ocean is usually in the 80s, and at least in the Gulf, and that may be too. It may be too cool for her to get in, and pools are the same way. So
got you.
She may never ever be able to go into a pool or the ocean ever again without feeling that.
Is the natural first question, how does she bathe?
Well, no, as long as the water is hot.
Okay.
As long as it's above a certain degree, we don't know what that is.
Okay.
We've never tested it out. Like, where do you start feeling
But she
pain?
knows where to get the water.
She knows, yeah.
Gotcha,
She's fine taking showers and stuff like that. It's the lukewarm kind of cool water that of a pool or a natural body like a lake or something like that where you don't know. And,
okay.
there are no lakes except for like hot springs
hot
or whatever
springs
that she would be able to get in. So maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll go like hot springs somewhere and
go to Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Get you guys a cabin and your wife can just go sit in one. Megan said the reef is so beautiful, and she said the scuba instead. She said it was amazing. But
I'm scuba certified. I guess I could, but
we were just talking about this too in the studio. Getting older, and you got your family photos back. I see it as I get ready to go to Mexico. My body is terrible. You mentioned yesterday, like you were like, this picture.
Yeah. I look very large in those pictures.
I feel like I'm giving up right now because I have a treadmill, and I went, I'm gonna, and I didn't, and it's just that I once lost 80 pounds, so if I can keep that off, I'm really happy. My brother's not the healthiest, as long as I'm not going down that path, I feel pretty good. You know what I mean? Like I'm not facing the heart disease that runs in the family. There's no signs of diabetes. And I drink a lot of Mountain Dew Kickstart. So I'm like, I'm good. I'm doing all right. Even though I could use a little bit more. I feel like it's more aesthetics than anything else. And so I can't bring myself to care about what I look like enough. Look at this hat I'm wearing.
Well, you're doing it for camera purposes.
Well, look at this head that I have every day. I can't do anything about that. You know what I mean? And I could. And we were once offered. They came through once and were like, "Hey, you want to get some? It was hair plugs. Was that what it was? At the
yeah, something like that.
It was some Botox place, and they were doing that kind of thing, hair replacement. And they told me about how they take a strip from back here and they place it up here. And we had a conversation about a guy amongst everyone. There was probably 6 people there. And a few of them knew that he had hair plugs. And that was all they talked about. And all I could think of is, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the one that when I walk out of the room, they go, those hair plugs look great. So I would much rather deal with what the Lord has given me than alter it and become a joke. I don't want to be a joke because it's all that I know some people talk about. And I know some people get, injections or lifts or tucks or whatever you need to do to feel good about yourself. That's great. I just don't feel like I need to do that. I feel good about myself. Yeah. Like I said, I lost a bunch of weight once. My doctor says I'm healthy, but I just have a hard time bringing myself to do it for looks. My mom always said, it doesn't matter what you look like. What goes on up here that matters. And I love that about her. She's wrong, but I love that about her. I work in this industry. Trust me, I was a fat guy and I was a skinny guy, and I've seen both sides of the same person when they face that person. It's a weird world out there, and I'm grateful for what I have. And I don't want to have to fight to try and look better. That doesn't seem logical to me. It doesn't make me smile. Yeah, and it doesn't serve me. So that's just but I'm losing it as I just this summer have went. I think I have to go with XL shirts from here on out. Like that's a legit thing.
I've been doing that for a while.
Well, we have different body types. We are both about the same size, but I would say you have broader shoulders. You got that junk in the trunk.
That's true.
A little more than me.
That's true.
Not in a bad way. You look great.
Your booty looks nice.
I would literally get offended when Remy would say my dad bod. I'd be like, man. But that's just some of my feelings on that. And I don't know if I've ever said that out loud, but I've had these thoughts up here.
Yeah.
So, I hope my wife still loves me.
That's another factor in that is like you don't necessarily have to impress to attract anymore. I guess there is
you still want your wife to be attracted to you.
Yeah, because romance and whatnot, but there isn't like they accept you for hopefully more so what's in here than the exterior. The exterior, so
thankfully, yes.
Don't necessarily have to work, and there's no time.
That's
Lauren
the other
and I
side
kind
of
of looked at each other and we're like, we have no time to work out.
It's the other side.
We have children that are running our lives right now, and until they get to the point where they can be content and be independent for a half an hour on their own, we may not get that, or we're gonna have to take turns. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And or we can get out and take them for a walk. That kind of thing. So that's also difficult.
We can always do better, right? Like I could use my time better to probably work out.
Sure.
But it doesn't on my totem pole. You know what I mean? It doesn't. Oh, that's probably inappropriate now too. Anyway. But I was just thinking about it, and as I go into a vacation where there will be beaches, I feel like a whale, and I don't necessarily ever want to take my shirt off, right? Ever.
Yeah.
But you know where I
think the only comforting thing in Mexico is that you look around on the beach and you go,
yeah,
I'll take it off.
Not the worst. Not the worst. I mean,
I know nobody here except for the people that I came with, and hopefully.
But I also, I don't want to embarrass my wife when I get up from next to her. I remember looking over at couples and going, "Ooh," I don't know. I worry too much about what people think, and that's a hard thing for me. Maybe that's what it is. But Christmas is coming up. XL T-shirts. I really need them. I put on some shirts someday and I go, oh man. And I love that. I love and hate that no one will tell me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wish people were real enough to be like, you look like a sausage, bro. Because I feel like a sausage. But I know that people, it's weird because we're not kind to people.
Well, there's a fine line between that becoming like a bullying thing or
True.
just being like you have something in your teeth. You know
True.
what I mean?
I might feel bad, but I probably need it, you know? Like when I didn't want to cut my hair because it's thinning, but it looked real bad.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it until like I like went like this in a video and went, oh, why didn't anybody tell me I look terrible?
Mm-hmm.
But whose job is that? Mine.
It's my job.
It's my job to maintain me, and I know, and I'm sorry. I'm bad at it. But I'm doing all this other stuff, and all that stuff is much better.
Megan says, when content with life looks become less important and enjoying the moments and adventures with loved ones is important, looks fade, but adventures and memories are always there.
Megan is like...
She's on fire. Megan Slay, you on fire, girl.
Killing the moral high road today.
Yeah, no, it's
No,
good.
it's great. I love it.
We were just talking about experiences, though, and how...
You got to live it.
I was just writing about that this morning. I've been writing in this book called 300 Writing Prompts, where they just give you like a prompt and you write on it whatever comes to your mind first. It's just like a creative exercise that I've been doing every morning, and it was like, what's the best use of your time in your mind?
Yeah.
And I'd said something. I started off with travel, and I was like, I don't ever travel. That doesn't make any sense. But I continued on to go with experiences. Like I feel like that's the best use of your time, is to have some sort of experience. It could be travel, it could be going to the park with your kids. It could be whatever.
So whatever makes you smile, whatever you find enjoyable.
Those experiences are I think what define you. And and I'm going to shamelessly plug the Fearlessly Create podcast again, because I had an amazing talk with this guy yesterday named Kevin McCullough. He's the co-founder of Float STL. It's a floating, if you've never looked into it, you can listen to the podcast to get all the details on what floating is. But it's
a different, floating in Missouri is a different thing. Like, you know what I mean? It's a float trip. Floating, what Remy's talking about, is like a in a tank with water. It's would you consider it a meditation or a self-care kind of situation?
It's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's sensory deprivation. So it feels like
that chamber. Yeah.
They actually, and I found out they actually started these back in the 50s and 60s to give astronauts the feeling of weightlessness.
Okay.
So that's kind of where they started, and then they started seeing all these benefits that people were having mentally from it, and there's a lot of amazing research that they've done with these things. And but Kevin was telling me that, you know, he was on this life path of business ventures and things of that nature, and he looked back and had a brain hemorrhage, and after that was over, he kind of looked back on this kind of cookie cutter life that he was leading, and was like, how do I want to look back? Because he had a near-death experience. So he's like, if I ever come upon this again, this near-death experience, will I look back on my life and be like, I love the experiences that I had up to this point and feel complete? Or will I look back and go, wow, that was a really cookie-cutter lifestyle that I had.
Right.
And I was just doing what everybody else wanted me to do, and I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. So that's when he started going, well, I want to serve other people. He's like, that's my main goal in life, is I would like to serve other people, because that makes me feel fulfilled. So that's where this whole idea of something that he loved to do. He loved going floating, but he would have to go to Chicago or have to go to Portland to do it, because there wasn't anything in St. Louis to do that. So him and his buddy bought a device, a pod, and had it in their house, and they told their friends, and they started having friends come over and
get clients.
Pay like $10 to like float for an hour.
Yeah.
And then his wife was like a little creeped out by the fact people were showering in their house.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
there's a lot of salt that they use to make you float.
You have to fill these things with salt in order to get them to...
I think there's 1,000 pounds of Epsom salts in this dissolved. So you essentially just lay there on the top of the water.
You have to do that every time? That's a lot.
They filter it out and they reuse. I believe that's the kind of the process. They run it through a filter and get all the crap out from.
Get all the other humans off
exactly.
of it.
Yeah, that's one of those. But they have a way to decontaminate and UV sterilize and all that kind of stuff too. So, but I just thought that was kind of an interesting perspective. You always hear people talk about their near-death experiences. But for whatever reason, and I was sitting in a room with him yesterday, and I was like, I feel so oddly connected to this story and this guy and this thing and this experience, and it was just it was eye-opening. So it's not posted yet, but I have everything ready to go. I'll post it up later today, so just look for that because I'll share it everywhere.
You can find this podcast on the Podcast One app, wherever you get your handcrafted artisan podcasts. You can search for Fearlessly Create. You can search for Mason and Remy there as well.
You guys recording another gaming guide this weekend, you said?
No, we don't. We're not with the kiddo this weekend.
Okay.
He is going to the 21 Pilots show tonight.
Here in St. Louis.
Yeah, now Alicia and I were unable to get tickets, but thankfully his uncle was able to do something on his dad's side there. So he's going with his cousin, his uncle, I believe. So they're going to go and have a good time tonight, I think.
I've seen some video from the show, like on Instagram, because I guess were they just in Chicago
they
last
were,
night
yeah.
or the night before?
Something like that, yeah.
It was really cool.
Yeah, they do an amazing show. It's just two guys, and I love that. Like, I love the simplicity and the complexity of something so simple. It's such a good message. Two good dudes, like, not out there saying like suck and grab and flip a. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like literal, like, dude talks about respecting his grandparents. You know what I mean? And it's good art. You know, I like it.
Yeah.
The new album's good. Yeah, man.
What about A Tale of Two Forks? I'm ready for that one.
We got to get that going still. That's it's my wife and I's podcast. I don't want to spend our podcast talking about other podcasts. Like, we've done that enough.
They're passion projects.
It is, and it's stuff that we work on. So it's like that's kind of the thing right now. Is like we're talking about follow your passion, do what makes you happy. Look, video games have been a part of my life for a long time. I found a way that you can kind of make money from it.
Yeah.
We'll see if it'll work out. I'm trying that. That's kind of my side hustle, my part-time spare time. Whenever the wife is, out of town, I do that pretty hardcore. And Keaton's into it too, so we can share that. And that is rewarding to me. You know what I mean? Being able to go and do fun stuff like the videos we did this week. That feels good to me because people will laugh. And I know they will.
I can't wait for you guys.
I can't wait either. I'm really excited to see our tour of St. Louis video. Our homecoming video is coming soon. We should probably wrap up this podcast here.
Oh yeah, we got a meeting in like 2 minutes.
We do have a meeting coming up. But is there anything that you wanted to cover before we go, or anything?
I don't think so. Other than this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a plug by any means. This lion's mane mushroom stuff. Have you ever heard about like mushroom? Okay, so there's psychedelic mushrooms, right?
I have heard of those.
The magic mushrooms.
Yep.
And then in that same vein, there are also mushrooms called like lion's mane, chaga. There's a bunch of different ones, and talking about like the neurogenic capabilities of these mushrooms. I listened to a whole podcast on this, and I instantly went. I was like, I gotta try this. So I was sipping on it here.
Let me see.
It's what.
Let me see one.
Oh yeah, it's not the best tasting thing in the world, but I'll report back. Because here's another.
How do you feel knowing that organic lion's mane is actually in this?
Well, it's not actually from a lion. It's a type of mushroom.
Oh,
lion's mane is type of mushroom.
Okay, carry on.
I'm trying to get away from Red Bull. I'm trying to get away from like synthetic. Caffeine, all that kind of stuff because I'm pretty bad. I'm drinking like probably 2 Red Bulls a day. That's also very expensive. 4
kickstarts a day.
Right?
That's where I'm at.
It's in the same. I'm trying to at least trying it for now to see if it works. So I'll report back.
And in the vein of we're always different, it was probably a year ago where Remy was like 4 Kickstarter or 4 Mountain Dews or whatever it was.
Yeah.
4 Red Bulls, and I was like, that stuff ain't good for you, man.
Yeah.
And now it's flipped. And now we're
try this organic
chopping up lions and putting it into tea. Doesn't make any sense. No, this is by. I'm sorry. This is by no means a plug.
It's not at all. It's not.
Well, I hope it works out for you.
There's no payments whatsoever.
It also doesn't help that they have like Mountain Dew and Red Bull in the vending machine.
And it takes a credit card
at the radio station.
You can just swipe your debit card and then boom, you got Skittles.
All right. So Mexico on the way. By the way, your father is watching.
What's up, Dad? How you doing, Dad?
Yeah, Jim. Jim didn't know I'm a gamer, but he also said, "See you guys later," because he knows we're getting ready to sign off. Again, you can always watch this if you're listening later on the Mason and Remy Facebook page. It happens there. It'll be there. It'll be on our YouTube channel. You can leave a comment there if maybe you wanted to tell us something about it. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm Mason Show.
Remy Radio.
You can follow us along on our adventure to Mexico, because sitting around and waiting for flights, things like that, we're probably going to be tweeting and Facebook.
Oh, yeah. I was going to vlog most of it if I can. Like, just take a camera and then put a video together of our adventures.
Right on.
I just signed myself up for a lot of work.
And I made sure to sign myself up for none. Always different, but always fun. Appreciate you, man. We'll go do a show this afternoon. See you from Mexico next week.
Ooh, Friday Jam. We're going to get to that.
Oh, yeah. We always end with a Friday party jam here. If you're ready, I'm ready. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's wrap it up here. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Well, dang! It's all cool and crispy now. The weather has turned to fall. Lows in the 30s. Nope. We're going to Mexico, y'all. Time to drink margaritas by the pool, or a pina colada, or one of each. Picture this for just a minute. Me running in slow motion on the beach. You gonna win that Mega Millions? You choose your numbers with your gut. Make sure to think of your favorite radio personalities. Mason and I will take a cut. Most likely you will not win. So take a deep breath and exhale. It's still the weekend, so that's nice. Take a sip of your favorite cocktail. It's time to celebrate a Friday, yeah. 5 o'clock Friday party jam. A spooky, scary kind of Friday, yeah. Mason and Remy Friday party jam. It is officially okay to buy the bags of candy. So if you could grab some Twix and some Kit Kats, please, that'd be dandy. So you gotta find the sweet spot. Stupid pun. Well, that's part of a thing here at STL. The jokes are part of the fun. If you already got the candy, chances are you probably already ate it. So now I'm gonna look like a pasty white ghost on my beach blanket. So we're headed to Mexico next week. Hope you can come next time. If you need me, I'll be on the beach, too drunk to make a rhyme. Friday, yeah. 5 o'clock Friday party jam. A beer in Mexico. Friday, yeah. Mason and Remy Friday party jam.